Welcome back to the Hoop Stubble podcast. Y'all know me, Nathan Schwartz, and joining me from New Zealand, Dylan Williamson. How you doing?
Doing great, Nate. It's very exciting to be here. I know that it's been a very quiet time for you. Not a lot going on in the US as of late, besides the in-season tournament. So excited to talk through some of the exciting times.
Here's the big thing that I'm most excited for is the upcoming presidential administration wants to make America great again, wants to take us back in time. And I think they want to take us back in time to like the 50s, if I'm judging by their political stances. And Jews ran the basketball world in the 50s. I'm expecting all-stars being named Moishe, naming Shmuley, naming him Abraham. Like, let's bring back Jewish basketball players. Let's make Jews good at basketball again.
Okay. Did he have the MVP?
No. That's an Israeli Jew. We want the good American Jews.
I see. We're drawing a line.
Yeah. No, we're still, anti-genocide. We just want to have like our good American Jewish boys. Can we get Grady Dick? Is he a member of the tribe?
It's a random poll. So we're making basketball great again. Everyone's been complaining. We're getting rid of the 3-point line. So that's fine. We get rid of Man, was there a salary cap in the 50s?
I mean, yes. Actually, yes. The salary cap is why Dolph Schayes didn't join the BAA but went to the NBL, and the Knicks lost out on another potential guy because he went and signed with Syracuse because the Knicks couldn't sign him above their cap restrictions that the BAA imposed.
Very nice. So was there a luxury tax in the 50s? Oh no, it was a hard cap.
No, there was no luxury tax.
But it was a hard cap.
Yeah.
Right.
It was definitely much harder. But also like there wasn't free agency. Your guys couldn't move around. You would never have had Durant to the Warriors. So, like in that regards.
So what you're saying is the NBA under Commissioner Trump, we're getting rid of the 3-point line. We've got a hard cap. There's no free agency. Players don't have any free will anymore. And we're getting back to the good old days.
Some of those actually don't sound like bad ideas, so I'm not going to say that.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, isn't this what NBA fans want? They actually want to go back to the 50s. Okay. Although I guess the one thing that they probably wouldn't like is like carry rules. Like they want
they want the ball handling of today.
Dribble. Yeah. You want guys to be able to dribble and dunk.
Yeah, that's like
no zone. Everyone has to guard.
That would be nice. That could be nice. But I was going to say, no carrying rules.
Gobert off the floor.
No carrying rules is like trying to tell people, like, hey, man, we want free open economic policy, but also we're going to impose a bunch of tariffs because that's going to make a free economic policy. We want fun dribbling. We're just going to outlaw carrying because it takes away the creativity of ball handlers.
We just want like standstill passing. We don't want any dribbling at all. Let's get rid of it altogether. It's just passing and off-ball movement, and everyone guards.
Classic flat ball drill.
Yeah, that's the future of the NBA.
Would be so happy.
Hey, he's the only one that has experience coaching in the 50s. He'll have a huge advantage.
Speaking of the past becoming the future of the NBA again, the Cleveland Cavaliers are incredibly relevant. 15-0. They're erasing LeBron's legacy as we speak, and they're doing it particularly without a good small forward. That's kind of been the fifth starting position, and so they're just like all in on anti-LeBron propaganda out there in Cleveland. How real do you believe the Cavaliers are this season?
Yeah, they really are going away from full LeBron ball. That LeBron is like the big wing and then like floor space and big men, and they're like, well, why don't we just play two fucking centers that can't shoot and no small forwards? They really are.
Hmm.
This is Dan Gilbert's slow revenge. Remember when LeBron left Cleveland the first time, and he's like, "I don't need you. We never needed you. I got Anderson Varejao. We'll be fine." And this is his slow revenge. He's finally back. Um, and the big one that's back. One of the hardest players to rank in the off season was Darius Garland, who had a really difficult season last year. Broke his jaw, apparently couldn't eat, which isn't very conducive to athletic performance. Couldn't eat solid food for weeks. Um,
Hmm.
but he's seemingly all the way back. The scoring efficiency is skyrocketed. The Cavs have one of the best offenses in the league, and him finding his form again is a huge reason why um, that they are able to get revenge on LeBron finally.
They also have Dean Wade back, capable 3-point shooter, solid defensive guy. Also, just plays well within the team in focus. Ty Jerome, whom coming off the bench
Mm.
playing well. I've really enjoyed watching them play. It seems like between the two starting guards and then Karis LeVert, you always have two guards out there that can be a scoring punch, can be a playmaking punch. The fact that you always have one really good rim protector in there has meant a lot. And then just Evan Mobley's overall development as both a guy who is looking a lot more comfortable defending on the arc on the perimeter and doing a little bit more offensively. Still, still flawed. Still some passing that he tries to make that doesn't quite go well. Some uh, over aggression in his offensive game, but I'd rather see that than under aggression and just passiveness. Um, so I'm really happy with what I'm seeing. I'm not. I'm ready to move them into the contender tier. I'm ready to say they're the second most likely team to come out of the East. I think that's been proven. That shouldn't be either like an overreaction or an underreaction. That just should be statement of fact at this point. But I'm struggling to get them over Boston in my mind. Is that about where you're at?
No, yeah, I agree with that. And two things that you brought up, which I think are very good to hit on, is in the regular season you can really get yourself a floor, um, a FLOOR, a floor, in two ways that the Cavs have really exploited. First is you just have competent point guard play for all 48 minutes. With Garland, with Mitchell, with Ty Jerome, there's no lapses in offensive activity. There's never a period where the offense just can't do anything. And then the other one is rim protection. And with Allen and Mobley, two really, really good defensive players, you've got 48 minutes essentially of a very solid anchor to the defense. And so those two things, which can really negatively affect a team. Like if you want to tank, a really good way to tank is just don't have a point guard, and your team will fucking suck. Or conversely, if you want to raise your floor, like say Minnesota, we've seen them do, all those Utah Jazz teams in the past, have a really good rim protector, have a really good defensive anchor. And the Cavs have been able to do it for 48 minutes. And so the regular season floor is so high because of those guys. When we talk about playoffs, the formula is a bit different, where the way that you succeed is elite on ball shot creation, an undeniable offensive player, and scheme versatility that you're able to both score, but more importantly, probably defend in a variety of ways. Do you think that they have that level of one creation from their star players and two defensive scheme versatility to really, warrant a contender status?
So I'm going to go on a slight tangent here, but when Aaron and I were working on our top 500, top 400, one of the things that we kind of realized is that, like, historically speaking, the three most important positions are point guards. You need a point guard who can't be targeted, can't be picked on, can drive the offense, and can pass and set everyone up. And if you've got that, that's historically incredibly valuable. You need a multi-positional versatile wing, usually a small forward. Usually, if your shooting guard is big enough to guard up, he plays small forward. If he's good enough to be a ball handler, he plays down to be a point guard. Shooting guards don't matter. Um, then you need a center. Your power forward, if he's good enough to defend fives, he becomes a five a lot of times. There's just not that many good fives. Cleveland has kind of fit themselves into that meta of they're basically running 2 point guards with Donovan Mitchell. I know he's always a shooting guard. He's the size of a point guard. He is functionally a point guard a lot of
He's
the
basically a
time.
point guard, yeah.
And Garland. They have the two bigs. And then they're getting really good contributions from whoever they've got in that three spot. Okoro's hitting over 40% of his threes, which that was always kind of the catch with him was could he hit enough shots to make him worth having out there? Because defensively he's really good. Sam Merrill off to a bit of a slow start, and Max Strus has been injured, hasn't played yet. I think what they've got going right now is incredibly flexible, is going to get bolstered when Max Strus comes back, and they've built their team really well. I, I I'm not worried about them. I think they're also really honest with themselves. If you remember 2 years ago when they lost in the playoffs, Jared Allen said like the lights were too bright. We weren't ready for it.
Yep.
I think
Big
they're ready
mistake.
now. I think. Oh, I appreciate the honesty.
Historically memeable moment. But yeah. The honesty we appreciate. Allowing yourself to become a meme every time you fail. Maybe not so good.
And historically speaking, NBA players generally hit their stride at age 27. You've got Donovan Mitchell at 28, Garland at 25, Allen at 26 right now. So they're all right in that range into where you would expect them to be having their best year. So I'm very in on Cleveland being real. I'm not quite in on them being a title favorite yet. I still think they're in that second tier.
Maybe the collapse of the other teams that you would consider to be a title favorite coming in, with the Bucks and the Sixers, them playing their way out of contender status, maybe clears a path as well for Cleveland. If second round matchups, they're going up against Orlando or Atlanta to get through to the conference finals, that could create an easier path as well.
Yeah, but the path still runs through Boston.
Yeah. Which is where I was going to get is like, certainly to be a contender, you've got to look at the path ahead of you. Matchup wise, it does seem to me that the Boston Celtics are a particularly terrible matchup for the Cavs because they score through their big wings. They've got really good guard defenders, and they aren't a team that relies on attacking the paint, which is sort of the exact opposite of the ways that Cleveland's able to succeed. So do you think that the Cavs, who have been the best team so far in this regular season, the number 2 offense, the number 6 defense per cleaning the glass, 14-0 record, plus 12.8 net rating, that's a 68 win pace. Do you think that this overall level of supreme competence and talent, these superstars right in the middle of their prime, is enough to overcome what I would perceive as a real matchup difficulty?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like we just don't need to overblow it. The Celtics are fantastic. I do have a little bit of Celtics kind of pessimism that I'd like to throw out there, which is just that it took them overtime to beat the Raptors, overtime to beat, I believe it was the Nets like 4 games ago. They've been struggling against some bad teams, but we can chalk that up to just regular season blahness. The Cavs and Celtics do play each other on Tuesday of this week. So if you're listening to this pod, I've probably edited it. We're recording on Sunday. I've probably edited it on Monday. It's probably posted out there for you guys. So hopefully you're listening to this beforehand. You can let us know, hey, Nate, you're wrong. You're right. But I would expect Boston to take care of business and put an end to this 15-game win streak on Tuesday.
Or even better, watch the game first and then listen to us so that we sound like idiots and everything we say is no longer relevant. That's another way to go about it.
Don't do that. Tell us we're brilliant. Think we're brilliant. Listen to the podcast. Watch my TikToks. Repost my TikToks because that helps. And I actually made a little bit of money this month on TikTok and buy more diapers for my kid. So that's exciting.
Nate's got he's got a family to feed. He's got investment to
Yeah,
make into the next great Jewish NBA superstar. He needs those TikTok watches.
yeah. But similar to Cleveland, we have another one of the LeBron era title teams returning to the surface is the Golden State Warriors, whom we did our season preview. I think all of us had them somewhere in like the 42 to 44 win range. And when you and I talked about this, or maybe it was Aaron and I talked about it, I kind of said I thought that there was a chance for some upside, some addition by subtraction, moving out Clay, bringing in Buddy Hield, D'Anthony Melton. I don't know how many times I'm gonna let D'Anthony Melton fail, like trick me into believing like he's gonna be good, and then he gets hurt.
Oh, come on.
Um, but Golden State is really good. Is Golden State real or fake in your book?
That's been one of my takes I've been somewhat consistent on so far, is being a little bit pessimistic on Golden State. The main way that they're succeeding, well, not a main way, but a major contributor to their success so far has been really hot shooting on their part and really poor shooting from three from their opponents. So their opponents shoot the worst percentage in the league. Teams shoot only 30.7% against them. That's, like I said, that's the worst of any team. Historically, the theory is that you don't control to a great extent your opponent's 3-point shooting. It's not really predictable. It's one of those things that can vary a lot. Normally comes back to some sort of mean. It's irregular for 3-point shooting to carry through from one point of the season to another point of the season, or from one season to the other season. And then offensively, they are one of the best 3-point shooting teams, which maybe you would expect to some degree. They do have the best 3-point shooter of all time, and maybe like the second best active 3-point shooter, just from like a volume, versatility, efficiency guy in Buddy Hield, who historically has been a really good shooter, and is maybe quietly a reason for Indiana's demise.
Mm-hmm. Not so
But yeah,
quietly. I came out here and said it. I said it a lot.
and you were right, and I was wrong on that. So yeah, my concerns with the Warriors is that they've been really good on defense. The main reason that they're good on defense is opponents are missing 3-pointers. Looking at the other four factors, they foul a lot. They rebound poorly. It's really just they allow a high shot percentage at the rim. It's really just the 3-point shooting that they succeed in, and offensively, it's the shooting that's carrying their great offense. And so I do still have some pessimism on the Warriors, even if historically maybe this is a regression to the mean, that the previous season of mediocrity has actually been an aberration in the stretch of Curry era.
So the one thing that I'll say is I do think that there is some tactical strategy into how they're defending threes. I know
Yeah,
there's this
sure.
idea that
And
like
part of it is they've faced bad shooting teams as well. But yeah, carry on.
yeah, but I mean, just it does seem like they're playing Draymond more at the 5. Trace Jackson Davis is only getting like 16 minutes a night. Looney's only getting 12. They're playing a fair amount of small ball, which if we want to talk small ball, we definitely talk about the OKC 5-man lineup with J Dub as their center, which is just insane to watch. But Golden State, I mean, they kind of pioneered the small ball, the death lineups. And those lineups are a lot more switchable, are a lot more versatile, especially when Curry was hurt for those 3 games. Um, they didn't really have like a traditional small point guard out there, or if anything, like they could switch 1 through 5. They were doing that, and so I do think that probably plays in some to how opponents are shooting against them. So whether or not that can stay at 30% probably isn't sustainable. You will have teams that just shoot the lights out against them. I don't think they've seen Boston. No, they have seen Boston. Okay. I was going to say Boston's 53s at, whatever percentage they're shooting, 38, 39%. Probably will skew numbers, but, um, I think there is something real to how they're playing defense. I don't know that I think it's real in the sense that they're going to win 50 games, but 2-10, 50 seems on the table.
Yeah, I guess like one kickback to the theory that it is their defense that's affecting their opponent 3-point percentage is that they allow a lot of threes. Typically, you would expect that if you're defending 3-pointers really well, that opponents wouldn't take as many if they're only getting really tough 3-point shots. Whereas opponents take a lot of threes against Golden State. But yeah, the net rating at this point, fourth in the league, plus 8.9 is a 62 win net rating. I'd be interested to see. I'll just bring it up quickly. The ESPN does I think it's ESPN does win projections. Let me find it 1 second.
While you're pulling that up, I went and pulled up their last box score against Memphis, and that maybe is just helping their 3-point percentage or their opponent's 3-point percentage. Memphis went 7 for 42. Just an absolutely brutal shooting night for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, so here it is. It's ESPN does Basketball Power Index, BPI win projections, which factors in both how teams are playing, but also does anchor to preseason expectations. And so they've got Golden State though as a 52.5 win team, so they're certainly looking well on track to win sort of high 40s, low 50s.
So are you declaring them real or fake?
They're looking increasingly real, but I do still have some concerns. I'm still dubious.
Okay.
But as we get further and further into the
early,
season and they continue to dominate, those concerns will dissipate.
I love the fact that the first two teams we talked about are Cleveland and Golden State, kind of the top two teams from like the 2016, 2017 kind of time frame. The third team we had on our rundown to talk about is the Houston Rockets, who, although they never won with James Harden, they were kind of the de facto third team of that era. Houston has a top 6 net rating right now. I have gone on record describing them as 3 goblins in a trench coat. Just agents of chaos where you never quite know what's going on and who's in charge and what you're going to get night to night. But it seems to be working. What do you feel? What do you think about the Houston Rockets? Also, what is going on in the background there? Is someone sawing down a tree?
Oh, can you hear that?
Oh yeah.
I'll mute when I'm not talking. I think there's a guy like doing yard work. I can move if it's really bad.
It's fine. I edit it out in post.
I'll talk really close to the microphone so that
don't do that. Don't do that.
So that you can raise the noise gate really high to block out even a low level of outside noise. Houston Rockets. One of the I talked earlier about the Cavs and the ways that you can succeed in the regular season. Well, 2 of the ways that they can give you a really good floor, good point guard play, good rim protection. 2 other ways is good coaching. I think Ime Udoka has now a pretty solid track record, more evidence that he is a good coach than the contrary. Team defense seems to be historically something that coaches can affect. Or maybe something that coaches have more effect on than, say, team offense, which seems to be more personnel based. Good coaches can get mediocre talent to a higher level, or can get good talent to an elite level, more than what a mediocre coach can. And the other thing is having good depth of NBA players. And for the Rockets, who have,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just up and down the roster, so many guys who not only are like competent NBA players, but also can fit into similar sort of scheme. So you can get really good consistency night to night. Whether it's the likes of Thompson or Jabari Smith, Dylan Brooks, these big wings who can really guard and can play good help defense. And Tari Eason is like this bench god of, you want to talk about chaos, like one of the, a guy whose defensive numbers just like jump out of the screen. Elite steal percentages, elite block percentages, elite rebounding, and knocking down shots. Um, I think that has been the key to their success is this depth of similar. I guess what I'm saying is a well constructed roster.
I I love the trio of Eason, Smith, and Thompson out there because it's just all arms, it's all length. None of them have really shown that they're like super developed offensively, talented with the ball in their hands. Jabari Smith had a good game 2 or 3 games ago. Didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but I just know statistically it was really good. So maybe I need to go back and see what he did there and how that's affecting him. But like those three guys are going to be a pain in the ass to try to score on in a play-in game or a first round playoff series. And then if Jalen Green has it going, which he's hit or miss. He could be really hot, but if he has it going, if Shangoon is finding guys like that, that could be a really solid 5 man and unit. And that's to say nothing of Reed Shepard, who's basically just been like iced out of the rotation. They give him like spot minutes in the third quarter. It feels like just be like, hey buddy, we believe in you. We hope, but like I mean, I thought
We
Reed
hope.
Shepard was rookie of the year like potential, but he
Mm.
can't scratch court time because the other guys, the rookies or the not rookies, but the young guys in the last 3 years are really showing that they can be something. I think that's exciting. I am leaning still towards fake. I still don't think they've figured out how these guys all fit together, and I would anticipate some sort of a tail off from this level of production from these guys. But it's been fun to watch. It's certainly been a
Mm.
lot more fun to watch than I was expecting.
Well, when we talk about fake or real, we've got to define what the expectation that we're,
Sure.
comparing it to is. And so if we're talking like championship contender or, conference finals contender, probably not there. But do you think that they're a top four regular season team in the conference, a
Uh,
top four seed?
so right now they're number 6 in the league in net rating. I don't think that's going to stick. I would expect them to drop back. I think probably 10 to 12 is where they'll end up. So that's still a fair amount of improvement. That's a good step forward for a young team. Last year they were 18th. They finished with a net rating of 1.1 in the positive. Right now they're 6.4. If they finishes at like 3, really good.
Um, and I guess maybe they're also benefiting from like some turbulence from the rest of the league. Some of these other teams that were expected to be a little bit better, Dallas at 6-7, the Knicks at 500. Denver
Mm-hmm.
has a record that's a lot better than their net rating. Because they Jokic and he's the best player in the NBA, and so they can pull out close games. But their defense is created just like we kind of expected. And they've actually had some injuries as well. Dario Saric had to start at center. Um, Shout out to him. Minnesota has fallen into sort of a little bit of a mediocrity as well. The Lakers, of course, they can, never bet on the
Hey,
Lakers.
nine and
Um,
four,
the shit
nine and
shuffle
four.
continues. Top five in
But
offense. Top five in offense. Shout out JJ Redick.
so I do think I think this year can I offer you a little bit of a
This
conspiracy theory?
There's turbulence, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Can I offer you a little bit of conspiracy theory?
All right, hit me with it.
Some of the injuries of this year may be a little bit overblown. I think I I think teams are like, okay, we want our guys playing well at the end of the year. Maybe if we rest them a little bit more in the start of the year. Curry was hurt. We're going to give him 3 games off. Right now, after the Suns got off to a hot start, Durant has been injured. They've said 2 weeks out for this ankle. But like, I'm just thinking that some of these teams, some of these injuries, maybe they're being a bit exaggerated. Damian Lillard's now resting in for the Bucks. He's been out the last couple of games. Like, you know, hey, we need Embiid back for the playoffs. He played in the Olympics. What happened between the Olympics and the start of the year that he's unable to play for? I'm just throwing this out. Maybe there's some thoughts of we're gonna rest the guys at the start of the year to finish strong. And that's where Houston's gaining some ground.
That I like that you call it a conspiracy theory and not a regular theory. Because the difference is that there has to be conspiracy. And that's the only way that this theory makes sense, is that all the NBA owners decided to agree that, you know, the NBA season is too long, there are too many games, but they don't want to reduce it for the risk of losing money. And so
Mm-hmm.
they all came together collectively and said, okay, for the first 20 games, we'll go through a bunch of injuries and we'll rest our guys so that they don't have to play too many games. Because the counter argument to this theory that it's, sort of a soft agreement, or a soft approach, as in there's no conspiracy, there's no collusion, teams are just naturally doing this, they've naturally decided that they're going to do this, is that particularly the West is so freaking stacked that you deciding to take it easy for a couple games could be the thing that costs you a trip to the playoffs, where you go all the way down to 11. The Clippers right now 1 game under 500. It's you rest 1 or 2 games, and all of a sudden you could go from 4 to 11. And so that would be the argument against this. And maybe this is a way that a team like Houston, who has this depth of talented players, is able to succeed, because when they have guys, eventually miss time, they're able to hold up better than some of these other teams.
This is one that we didn't have on our rundown for East for real or non-real, but just you're talking about it made me question. Right now, the West is winning 55% of the games versus the East, technically 55.2, because the East has just been god awful this year. This is the second best win percentage the West has had against the East in the history of the NBA. Will this continue, real or fake?
I mean, if you sort of diagnose it, what's at the cause is that the West has a depth of good teams, right down to the Lakers and the Clippers and the man, it's difficult with. Okay, let me sort it by wins instead of net rating. Right down to the likes of the Clippers and the Mavs and the Timberwolves, who are like the lower seeded playoff teams at the moment, is ludicrous depth. And meanwhile, for the East, they've got 2 good NBA teams, and then like the guys who should be right there, the Bucks and the Sixers, are 2 of the worst teams in the NBA. And so, will this continue? Is basically a bet on, do the teams like these lower seeded playoff teams in the West, do they continue to try to win games? I think other than the Clippers, there's no one that's going to blow it up. Like, a Dallas going to trade Luca because they're the 8 seed? Is Minnesota going to make another move? Is freaking Memphis going to start tanking again? Probably not. And for the East, is the likes of Indiana and Milwaukee and Philadelphia are going to figure it out. And the safe bet is probably more towards no. And so I do think that the disparity between the West and the East will continue, where you get this, we sort of go back, we're talking about 2016. We can go back to the time where like the 8th seed in the West would be the 4th seed in the East.
Just for some reference, like looking back over the East-West split, normally it's within 52% one way, 48% the other way. 2014 it was 55% West wins, 54.8. It's so very close to where we're at right now, and that is the year. Wait, click on the right year. Yeah, that is the 9th seed who missed the playoffs, won 48 games in the West, whereas in the East, you had a 38 win Hawks team in the playoffs.
Let's go ask BPI for their projections. Let's see. So,
well, isn't BPI just going to tell us what the numbers are right now and say that continues? Like that's what numbers do. We're asking, will they continue?
I mean, like I said, it is anchored to the preseason. So a team losing a few games doesn't totally tank it the way that if I just did like the cleaning the glass net rating, for example, or win predictions based on net rating. But for the sake of argument, BPI, Cleveland and Boston, both basically 60 win teams, dominating. 3 seed Orlando at 45, the Heat coming in at the 4 seed at 43. 44. 5 seed the Knicks, the 6 seed the Sixers. Knicks is the 5 seed at 41 wins, so 500 5 seed. Then the Sixers at 39, the Bucks at 38. The Bulls sneaking in. The Bulls, who have a top 10 protected first round draft pick, sneaking in as the into the playoffs as a 38 win team. And the Pacers at 37 and the Hawks at 36. Compared to the West, where we've got OKC at the top naturally at 58 wins, followed by Golden State at 52. The Suns, the Lakers. How's that for some preseason anchoring, boosting them up? 48 win 4 seed. 5 is Houston, 6 is Denver, 7 is Memphis, 8 is Dallas at 44 wins, 9 is Minnesota above 500, 10 is Sacramento above 500, and the 11 seed Clippers are 500. So BPI projects the 11 seed to be in the West to be better than the 5 seed in the East. As a combination of current play and preseason
that won't happen.
Anchoring.
That won't happen, but it's interesting to look at.
Shall we make a bet? Should we do
that the 11th seed in the West will have a worse record than the 5 seed in the East?
Not quite that extreme. Let's do 8 versus 5. Do you think that's fair?
8 versus 5.
The 8th seed in the Western Conference will have a better win record than the 5th seed in the East.
I will take the East's 5th seed.
All right.
I would agree to that bet. I think that's a close enough thing that I'll agree to it.
All right.
Couple of other things that we had on our real or fake kind of Sacramento being a top 5 offense without the 3-point shooting. Which happens? Do they get better at shooting threes, or do they fall out of the top 5 in net offensive rating? What are you thinking? Or does this continue?
I mean, part of the problem is just that there isn't necessarily a team below them that's really going to climb. Man, this is crazy. They are still top 5 in effective field goal percentage, even without shooting threes. They're just completely destroying my conceptions of how to be a good offense, which Aaron did predict. What do you think? I'll be interested. What are you thinking?
So I think I think they'll fall. I think they'll stay in the top 10. But I also do think their 3-point percentage will improve. You know, Herter's always been a streaky shooter. They signed Doug McDermott like the day before the season started. I do think in general their 3-point percentage, which right now what are they hitting? They are the Kings are hitting 33%. They are the 24th best team by 3-point percentage. Um, I think that's going to come up. League average right now is 35. I don't think that they're going to be below league average by the time the playoffs roll around. So that's going to come up. I guess
Do
that
you,
might
do you,
that
do you
might be
think
my
that the
biggest.
do you reckon the other shooting comes down though? So using our the shooting accuracy page from our good friends at Clean the Glass, um, man, they should give me my $5 a month subscription for free for the shout out. Um, uh, they are fifth in effective field goal percentage, but they're last in the league in location effective field goal percentage. So, which is to say that they are making really hard shots. They're shooting way above what they should be shooting for where they're shooting it. And the reason that they're doing that is that they're number one in floaters. They shoot 54% on shots between 4 to 14 feet.
I
The median is 42%, so they're 10% above median. And then on long mid ranges, they are fourth in the league, shooting about 50%. League average again is 42%, so they're way above average. And then at the rim, they're number one in the league at field goal percentage at the rim at 54%. Sorry, that's not true. They're actually number three at 73%, whereas league average is 66.
Hey, when De'Aaron Fox drops 109 points in 2 games,
maybe,
that's
maybe,
bound
maybe
to
that
improve
pushes
your
stats.
yeah. Um, so I think one of the things that we miss out on in basketball a lot is we look at that location effective field goal percentage. We don't always think of it as in context with the defense. Just thinking back, mid-range shots, if you're getting guarded from mid-range versus getting guarded from three, the percentages continue to drop the further back you move. But if you're wide open, they still drop, but now you're getting more points. So like, the idea of catching the ball 18 feet on the baseline and shooting, that used to be what you'd see a lot in the 90s or early 2000s. And now they're like, well, hey, let's just stand behind the 3-point line, catch a 22-footer. Our percentage is wide open. We'll drop a little bit, but we're going to get extra points. I think what the Kings are doing is they're taking advantage of a market inefficiency that is saying, we're going to chase you off the 3-point line and we're going to defend the rim. Sacramento's like, cool. We've loaded up on a bunch of guys who are really good from the mid range because those are the shots that you want to give us. So if you're going to give us those shots, those are the shots we want to take because now these shots are open. And so instead of comparing contested threes or contested at rim shots, they're compared to contested mid ranges. You're now comparing contested shots to uncontested shots, and they're capitalizing on getting more uncontested shots.
I mean, it makes sense. And like as much as we would say in a vacuum, a team, way outperforming everyone else in the league in floaters and mid range, which are the hardest shots to make, is unlikely to continue. They do have mid range god DeMar DeRozan on their team, taking the
Floater
most
god
mid
De'Aaron
ranges
Fox,
and
mid-range
floater god
master
De'Aaron
Domantas
Fox.
Sabonis. Like they've collected, they've got the Infinity Stones of mid-range players in the league right now.
Exactly, yeah. So DeMar on 78 attempts from the mid range so far is shooting 53%. De'Aaron Fox on 103 floaters is 55%. Sabonis at the rim shooting 74%. No one's shooting threes well. DeRozan is leading the team in 3-point percentage on his 22 attempts at 45%. But yeah, like the effectiveness makes some sense when you look at the roster construction.
Yeah. Now they just need to add Brandon Ingram to really, hammer home the
Hey, they
the
tried.
effective mid range. Just by
Mm.
percentage of their shots from that 10 to 16-foot range that Basketball Reference has easily sortable. DeMar is leading the league in his percentage of shots there. Or Fox is second. And they're both hitting 49 of 48% from those ranges, from that 10 to 16 foot, which is like, that's a solid mid range shot. That's not a deep two by any means, but like, it's not at the basket. And they're hitting a good percentage there. I don't see why that's necessarily going to change a ton because defenses will always try to keep those guys away from the rim and off the 3-point line. So it seems sustainable in my mind. Malik Monk is also hitting a really high percentage of his shots there, or 41%. Like these guys are hitting sustainable shots that the defenses are giving them. We did have De'Aaron Fox in our lineup for real or fake. 109 points in 2 games, an average of 54.5 probably is not sustainable, but is De'Aaron Fox winning the scoring title, real or fake?
You know what's so crazy is for all of the stats that I look at, I don't look at any like box score stats, so I couldn't even tell you who's leading the league in in scoring. I'm gonna
Giannis with
quickly.
33 points per game right now, followed by Anthony Davis, which I thought was shocking that he's like 31.7. And I forget who's in third, but Jokic is in fourth right now. So Jokic is averaging 29.7 points per game, along with 11 boards and 11 assists and 50 something percent from three. We will get to is a Jokic fourth MVP in inevitability, real or fake?
Hmm. Um, what's even more crazy about Fox's scoring and Sacramento's scoring is that it's all like half court. It's all done in the half court, so they are 20th in the league in percentage of their possessions that are transition. So like they're not even like boosting their offense in like that way of just running and gunning. Like they are playing quite slow and deliberate and getting to shots. I mean, you'd have to expect that he'll probably not continue to average 50 points roughly.
No, but can he get enough to lead the league in scoring?
I would have to think that Jokic has to do it. Just because or even Giannis. Just because of like they're not going to, their teams are going to be really bad. And so it's probably going to be Giannis. Like he's doing it at the moment. He really needs to do it. They don't have a lot of other I mean they got Damian Lillard, but they don't have a huge amount of other offensive talent. And so I think it's got to be Giannis. If De'Aaron Fox could keep scoring 50 points a game, though, that would be really wonderful, especially for me who had him as a top 20 NBA player, to make myself look smarter.
Well, I'm staking my claim in it right now. I'm carving out this niche in NBA corner. De'Aaron Fox will be the scoring title leader.
I like it. How about All-Star MVP? You think Fox for All-Star MVP is sort of trending in that type of player?
No,
No.
because here's the NBA players are too deferential at this point. The whole Olympics just deferential to LeBron and Curry, Durant, and I still think that there's not enough guys who really want to go hard in the All Star game that someone's going to defer, and Tatum really wanted it because he wanted to have his Kobe trophy. Um, I don't see Fox going all out for it, but I think that they'll let either one of the old guys or Tatum go for it again. Maybe Donovan Mitchell.
It's probably going to be a starter, right? Like that's the one caveat. Are they doing East West again this year?
They've actually talked about changing the All Star format. That
Okay.
there's discussion of doing it like what they're doing for the rookie sophomore game, where they split up into 4 teams of like 6 or 7 players, and they play games to 50, and then the winning team advances, and so you have like these briefer games, but you get to see
It's what
like
that rookie sophomore style. Which if I recall correctly wasn't that entertaining. I don't think.
it's
instead of one game that doesn't matter, you get 4 games that don't matter.
it's been entertaining for some of them. Like every now and then you'll have one of those games that's close. Like when Jose Alvarado was
The
out
Jose
there.
Alvarado one, yeah.
Yeah. But like if guys don't care, then guys don't care. It doesn't matter what the style is. The only thing is like it's maybe gets over quicker, and you got guys who don't care out of there sooner. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
Not to get political, but the NBA players um complaining about the All-Star game reminds me of like Democrats complaining about the election. They're like, man, this All-Star game sucks. Nobody takes it seriously. It's like you guys are the ones that are making that decision. The Democrats are like, man, why can't we win these? Working class voters. It's like you guys are the ones that don't have policies to address, working class complaints. Like this is your choice. If the players need to like either play hard or stop complaining about the All-Star game sucking. Like you got to actually do something. You're the ones that are in control of this.
I will push back. I do feel like we Dems have good policies for the working class, but we don't have the best marketing and fail to run a convincing campaign and engage on a number of levels.
Fair.
But the analogy was sound. I like it because yes, you can't complain about it and be the problem yourselves.
Yeah. It is outrageous when every year the players are like, man, the All-Star game sucks. It's like you're the ones that are playing the freaking game. What do you mean?
Just try hard. Just actually play for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, they're
Like it
like, no one
matters
tries hard. It's like
or
you're the
something.
ones who are not trying hard. You try hard, it'll resolve it. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're like, yeah, nobody cares about the All-Star game. It sucks. You care about it, and then it will be fine. Do you remember that one year there was one good All-Star year in my lifetime? I think it was the first year they did the draft.
Oh yeah. I I do remember that. The like good All-Star game from my lifetime is the '03 All-Star game, where
Hmm.
it's like Jordan's final All-Star game and him and Kobe get into it at the end. And there is like some mano a mano. I want to say that one went
Yeah,
to overtime.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I always think back of like, man, why can't we have games like that where it's literally the best players in the world actually giving a shit and trying,
mm,
and it makes me mad.
yeah. I think one way to improve is which no one will ever go for, is reduce the amount of spots. Like there are too many spots to make like a proper rotation, and so guys aren't playing as much,
Mm.
and so they can't really get into it. Like if it was just 8 players a team, and now like you don't have like the guys that go in and they're like, oh no, I'm only going to get 10 minutes, so I'm going to get to shoot twice, and so I'm not
That
really going to do anything.
that could be a positive on doing four teams method, because with that,
Hmm?
if you stay
Yeah,
with
yeah,
24 All Stars, it's
yeah,
four teams of six, and the guys are out there and they're getting their run. It's a thought. It may or may not be uh, effective, but and that has not been confirmed. I think Shams like tweeted out that it's a possibility.
yeah, yeah.
So
I did read a title of an article talking about it. I'm very well read.
yes. Um, you did tell me about something else that you read earlier this week, which is that Dyson Daniels has a new nickname, the Great Barrier Thief. Daniels, over the last 5 games, is averaging 5.8 steals. On the season, he's averaging 3.8 steals per game.
Which would be the most of all time.
So I guess that's our real or fake. Dyson Daniels setting an all-time steals per game in record. Real or fake? Is it happening?
I'd say it's probably not happening. But what could be more interesting is, um, will he? I mean, like if you look at the, I wish I was better at like bringing up shit on the fly. I'm not even going to attempt it. But like, what number has led the league in steals per game in recent years? I feel like if you like get to like 2, you're like the league leader in steals.
So last year was De'Aaron Fox with 2. The previous year was OG Anunoby with 1.9. Before that,
Mm,
Jamal Murray 2. Before that, Jimmy Butler with 2. It's been a while since someone's had more than 2.2
yeah.
or 2.3. Like
Mm.
you kind of
When was it the last time someone had 2.3?
2.3 was Kawhi Leonard in. Actually, let me see. Was Victor Oladipo in 2018, and before that,
Mm.
Kawhi Leonard in 2015.
Okay. So essentially, it's been and Kawhi was higher than Victor,
Um,
like 2.3
no,
something,
Victor
or no?
Victor was
Okay.
2.36. But the last time we had 3 steals per game was
Mm.
1991. Alvin Robertson.
Mm. All right. Well, I think then the interesting thing becomes, it seems very likely that Dyson will lead the NBA in steals as long as he, continues to be healthy and continues to play games, and play minutes, which he has been without Trey Young, which has probably helped his steal numbers. Um, not having a terrible defender that he's got to look out for at all times and can, himself be a little bit more of a liability by taking more risks. And so once Trey comes back, his minutes and his defensive responsibility will probably change, which could affect his steal percentage. Regardless, he seems likely that he's going to lead the league. How much will he? Where will he
Mm-hmm.
rank in terms of recent leaders? If we say Oladipo is this high point, if I set that as the over under, you take an over under Victor Oladipo's 2.3, whatever it is.
I mean, I'm smashing the over 2.3. I
Mm.
think I'm probably taking the over on 2.5 at this point, which was most recently done by Chris Paul back in 2012. Um, Chris Paul also did 2.77 in 2008. I think that
Ooh,
gets a little dicey, but I'm thinking he's somewhere in that 2.5 to 2.7 range when it's all said and done.
yeah. I mean, even if you go back to like how many possessions do players play in a game? Like
Um,
75?
yeah, give or take.
Yeah. So he had a 2.6% steal rate last year. Um, so 2.6 per 100. And so if we just 75 that, it gives 1.95, so just under 2.
Are you
If we
doing the
is
math?
it, huh? Am I not?
No, I was just questioning. Are you actually like doing the math? I just went to his basketball reference page, and you've got the per 100 possessions. Last year, he's
Yeah.
3.1
Okay.
steals per
Okay.
100
The
possessions.
the better thing to
This
do would be per 36. What was this per 36 last year?
per 36, he was 2.3 steals. Those per
Okay.
36. This year, he's
Well,
4.1.
Yeah. Well, if he plays around 36 and is slightly better than last year, or he's slightly better than last year and plays slightly less than 36, then he's on pace for 2.3. So 2.3 seems like a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's been a lot of fun to watch, and really the whole Hawks team. I described them as being like the 2019 Raptors without Kawhi Leonard, when they didn't have Trae Young out there. Like they just have this competent team out there that is switchable, a ton of length. I think Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson as like a two-man wrecking crew. I wouldn't even hate the idea of like, all right, that's our core moving forward. Let's move off of some of these guys. And I get it.
Yeah.
We
It's just a
bash on
shame
Trae
that no
Young a
one wants
fair
Trae
amount.
Young.
Maybe the
D'Lo and
San
Reeves,
Antonio.
come on, run it back. D'Lo and Hachimura.
Yeah, not happening. But like, Trae Young, we bash on Young a lot, but it's not like Young is horrid. It's just hard to build a contender around him, and you're kind of handicapped by the fact that he is good enough to demand a very high salary, and still has enough weak points that he can't deliver a title.
Hmm. Maybe this havoc creating steals approach is the way that you can get your defense to a really competent level, even with Trae Young on the floor. Because as we know, there are four ways that you can succeed in offensively. There's stopping your opponent from shooting a good percentage. There's stopping your opponents from getting rebounds. There's turning the ball over, and there's not fouling. The four factors. They are never, you would imagine, going to succeed in effective field goal percentage. Teams are going to shoot a good percentage when Trae Young's on the floor, and that is true that they have invariably. But maybe forcing turnovers is a way that they can boost their defense, which of course boosts their offense. You get good feedback loops. Maybe this is the way you lean into this style of Dyson Daniels wreaking havoc, Jalen Johnson wreaking havoc, and that's able to boost your defense. I'm looking at their most used lineup this season, which is Trey Dyson, Riza Shea, Johnson, and Capella. And they've got a 110 basically defensive rating, which is very good, especially for a Trae Young lineup. But opponents are shooting a really high percentage. The way that they've succeeded is not fouling and forcing a lot of turnovers. So maybe this is the way. Dyson Daniels is unlocking Trae Young.
I mean, it certainly could be. Either way, I don't know that there's enough variance in like turnover percentage between like the teams that cause the most turnovers to the teams that
Yeah.
cause the least. Like looking at right now, the Hawks opponents are turning the ball over the fourth most in the league at 16.7 turnovers, whereas the Hawks themselves are turning the ball over 15.7. So it's the difference of one turnover a game between what they are actively doing and what they are forcing their opponents to do. I don't know that's going to make huge dividends, but it has certainly improved the watchability of the team and has certainly helped cover up a lot of Trey's his weaknesses.
But most importantly, we don't watch NBA for the games. We watch NBA for great nicknames and the Great Barrier Thief. I wish I could remember where I saw it to give them credit, but that's a great NBA nickname.
Is very solid.
It's Stifle Tower esque, which I think is also one of the best NBA nicknames.
Yeah, man, it's a good year for Australian basketball. You got Dyson Daniels was kind of popping off. Josh Giddey doing better in Chicago. Well, Bulls maybe a playoff team in behind his success. Also, Chicago, Zach LaVine playing good ball. Kind of surprised to see him playing well.
Yeah, and it is a shame. Because to reiterate, the Chicago Bulls have a top 10 protected pick. If they make the play-in, they convey their first round pick. Chicago, do not make the play-in.
Who are they going to draft?
That first round pick is far more valuable than they could draft Modest Buzella's version 2. He looks kind of good.
Yeah, he's fine.
Not a
He's
believer.
fine. I mean, I actually do have him in a fantasy dynasty league, but it's just like it's fine.
You've got stock. You've got an investment in Martis Pizzelis.
All right. Let's close it. We've gone for about an hour
Mm.
here. Let's kind of close out on who have been a couple of the guys that you've seen um, that have surprised you, that maybe outperformed your expectation, who've looked better, or just who have you enjoyed watching this year? Maybe go
Um,
3 names.
yeah. So Ice Dice was my first one. Dyson Daniels' other great nickname. Um, my next one as a biased Clippers fan, I've got to give a shout out to Norm Powell. 25 points per game on basically 50-50 splits. Clippers can't do anything when he's off the floor. Um, a solid team with Norm Powell as their second best offensive player. So shout out to Norm Powell.
Who's number 3?
Oh, you don't want to stagger? You don't want to take turns?
Oh, I mean, we can stack it. You just did 1 and
Hmm.
2 there, so I thought you were just rattling off all 3.
All right, I'll close it out with a guy that I mentioned earlier. The reason that the Pacers have collapsed, the reason that the Warriors are a top 5 offense, Buddy Hield, the second best shooter in the NBA,
Yeah.
getting the opportunity. He's finally in the system to maximize his strengths.
So my 3 are incredibly eerily similar,
Let's
but
do
for all of the
it.
for the same reasons, but different people. I have Klay Thompson, who I thought was washed. I thought he was done. I thought there was going to be some strong indications that the Mavericks would be better without him. Just
Yeah,
you have 2 really good scorers in Luka and Kyrie, and I thought
yeah.
that you would probably want to balance that third
I thought
scoring option with
Najee Marshall
defense.
could outplay him.
Me too. I was right there with you. But I'm super happy to like see Clay playing well. Um, I am now trying to get a hold of one of those captain's hats with the Warrior emblem. Trying to find a
Yeah.
knockoff. I don't want to pay $400 for the real ones, but like if I
Is
can
that
get
what
a
they're
hold of
charging?
them,
Were they giving that shit out for free?
they were, and now it's become such a collector's item that you can find them on
Man,
eBay for like 400 or 500.
man.
Um, but so that's one. My the guy number 2, in kind of concert with Dyson Daniels, is another big point guard that's wrecking havoc on defense, and that's Delano Banton. Um, Dylan, do you know who holds the Portland Trailblazers record for most points scored in a fourth quarter?
Um, it's got to be the one of the best clutch players of all time, Damian Lillard.
No, it's Delano Banton, apparently. Banton
Delano
dropped
time. It's
Van
Delano
dropped
time.
20 points in a fourth quarter. I loved him in Toronto. He is like
Mm,
incredibly poor man's version of Ben Simmons, just like a 6'8" point guard that
yeah,
is um, probably more Matisse Thybulle than Ben Simmons, but
yeah,
um,
yeah. He's always been on my radar as because I love big point guards. Um, the issue for him has been his offensive efficiency, but the threes are maybe starting to fall this year. Maybe.
yeah. And then to mirror your homer pick of Norm Powell, I just got to say, my guy Dalton Connect. It's been really enjoyable having a rookie that looks good. Just dropped like 25 points since the other night. He's getting the starts now as JJ Redick is tweaking and testing things out in the lineup, and I haven't been excited about a rookie in LA for a while. Um, And if I could have a fourth, it would be his
Yeah,
Toronto counterpart, Grady Dick, who I was hoping would take a leap this year, and he absolutely has. He has looked
yeah,
really good. And I hate to
yeah.
say it, I feel like the Raptors have looked much better than their 2-12 record, but are strategically tanking these games to try to get that Cooper Flag pick, and I'm all for it. I want them to be competitive for the first 46 minutes, and then just throw the game in the garbage can in the final 2, and that's what they've been giving me.
The Raptors are 15 points better per 100 possessions when Grady Dick's in the game. It's 91st percentile. That's MVP level of impact. It's just a shame that the social media industrial complexes, for some reason, conspired to keep down Grady Dick praise. For some reason, TikTok won't allow you to, go on and praise Grady. So I'm just going to say it here. I love Dick. I'm not afraid to say it. And TikTok, stop suppressing Nate's pro Grady Dick videos.
Exactly. Dick's out for Harambe. Did that joke not make it across the pond? It's a little 2015 of me, but
exactly, Nate. You can't make memes. The meme cycle's like 6 months. Okay.
Okay, listen. There was this gorilla, and when he got shot, the whole world went to shit. It's the thing. We millennials are still traumatized about it.
No. You got 6 months, and then you've got to move on. All right.
Fair enough. All right, Dylan. Where can the people
can't
find you?
You can't even say that Grady's going to have a Brett Winter. We've moved on.
We're past Brad already. I don't even know what Brad is.
That was a big thing, huh? Like people not understanding Brett.
Listen, when Charlie XCX blew up again, I was like, you mean the person that like dropped Fancy with Iggy Azalea? Like, I thought she was a one and done. I thought that was like I haven't thought about her since I thought about Iggy Azalea, which was back when Nick Young was in the league. Like,
Swaggy P.
What are we doing here?
Could this augur a Swaggy P resurgence? Who's the current Swaggy P? Is it Grady Dick? Is Grady Dick 2024 Swaggy P?
No, because Swaggy P is irrational confidence. I'm trying to think who is the heir to like the J.R. Smith. It might be Jalen Green. Jalen Green might be too good.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. If Jalen Green starts bouncing around the league.
It's a dying archetype. Maybe this is a sign that archetype's coming back. The bench chucker is coming back.
I think it's a sign that the world's gotten too polished. You can't have these guys out there who are making these crazy statements. You can't have them out there getting filmed on IG Live, talking about cheating on their fiancés. Is Iggy Azalea.
Yeah, it's because of woke.
Do you know what happened the next time that Nick Young played the Wizards after that video came out?
Played the Wizards?
So Nick Young was a Wizard before he was a Laker, and was like apparently has like some cult hero love. Like the Wizards fans loved him.
Right. Yeah.
And so they played the Wizards like a little bit after that, after he broke off the engagement. And anytime he missed a shot, they played the bass line to Fancy that just dun dun dun. And so like every time he missed that they just do that.
And he misses a lot of shots too. He gave them plenty of opportunity to hammer home the joke.
It was fantastic. It just the way to do it.
All right. Let's get out of here. You can find me every week on the Hoops Temple podcast. Next week, very special guest returning. Aaron Schroeder is supposed to be back. The moment everyone's been waiting for.
Woo!
Nate, where can the people find you?
Finally realigning. You can find me here. You can find me Nate_HoopsTemple on TikTok, and you can email the whole show hoopstemple@gmail.com. If you want us to talk about your team, you got takes, you want us to read them, go ahead, shoot us an email. We'll get it on the show. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later.